privilege to share the profiles of our celebrities and guests. And today we are being honored with the presence of L. Sivaraman sir. We'll get to know as to who is he, what work he does, and how he has inspired all of us till date. So friends, I take the privilege to share sir's profile. He is the Chief Technology Officer with regard to automotive, if I can put that right, automotive robotics India Private Limited. I'd like to add more to sir's profile. I'll go a little more in detail. He's actually a practicing engineering professional with about 4 decades of experience in design, development, and testing of commercial vehicles, defense vehicles, and is also connected with construction, mining, and material handling equipments, friends. Currently, he is working on zero carbon technologies. That's really wonderful. We'll get to know as to what it is. For me, I am nil about it and clueless what is zero carbon technologies. We all need to know about it because it's really very important, like electrical vehicle ecosystem. So I get it here, electrical vehicle ecosystem consisting of motor and as well as microcontroller units, etc. Is also connected with battery and battery management systems, power electronics, and electrical systems on commercial vehicles. So that's here. I guess that is something called as zero carbon technologies, if I'm not mistaken. And sir is very happy and connected with the work that he does. His spouse, she works in the central government as an officer. His son is studying his MS in robotics and AI in the US. And his daughter is pursuing her MBBS in Chennai. People in the right way, if I could put all of that. He's a great fan of his mother. He loves to connect with his mother, and hence his stay over here in India is solely for his mother. He wants to see her happy. He wants to make her feel that, yes, I have the best son in the world. And here we have L. Sivaraman sir, not only a professional, but a great son of a great mother and a great son of India as well. Join us to get to know more about sir's life journey as to what it is and how he overcame all the challenges, because challenges are for everyone. It's only how we overtake or override all the difficulties in our lives that makes us more special. Hello, sir, and welcome to the session. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey. People would really love to know who is the real L. Sivaraman sir. How would you like to describe yourself and share it on the platform today with us? Who is the real L. Sivaraman?
At the outset, I thank you, Andrea, for giving me this opportunity. And it was nice to get connected and also share some of my experiences with the various people in different fields, whether it be the young college grads or students who are coming up, or some of the practicing professionals who are entering into the engineering fraternity or the fraternity in which they like their life to be, whether it's medicine or accounting or any of those. And the third one, of course, there are people who really achieve a lot of things, and achievement is not very difficult. As long as you work hard, there is no substitute for hard work. And that is what is my only very strong belief. Hard work is the best friend that you can have in order to achieve what you want. Second one that I want to really talk to the young people of India is there are a lot of opportunities. We don't have to go out of India in search of opportunities. Plenty of opportunities. You pursue what you like and you excel in what you like rather than force yourself into, okay, this is what the society wants me to do, then you may not be that successful. It is always better you pursue what you like and you make a life for yourself. That is my second thought on which I have come up in my life. The third one is the relationship between your education in a formal institution to a professional working environment. They are two different things. We should never mix up. This is how I was in a college, and this is how the corporate world is, and I may not be a good mix here. We have to adjust ourselves and convert whatever opportunity comes in one's way into a fortune. So the third one is you have to apply your knowledge or apply your whatever is you're learning, and convert them into the fortune through the opportunities that you get. Thereby, you can definitely become successful. So these are my three mantras, if you may look at it. One is the hard work that you have to pursue. Second one is your interest and your passion. So that is very important, passion. And the third one is convert opportunities into fortunes wherever you are.
Excellent, sir. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Thank you very much. Very inspiring. Now, sir, I have a big question for you. You've chosen the engineering stream. There were different streams available. It could be medicine. It could be, you know, would have become a teacher. You could have become an author. There's so much of choice around you when you become, when you begin your career. So why did you choose only the engineering stream? Were you drawn towards it, or somebody asked you to go into it, or you made the choice on your own?
Okay. Uh, right from my school, all whatever I am today, I owe all my credits today to my teachers who taught me in my high school. The school which I studied from is PS High School North, which is located in Mylapore, which is a smaller school compared to the main school. And the teachers were so dedicated to bring us up. And two or three teachers who really inspired me were from mathematics and science. So two teachers, Mr. P.N. Seshagiri Rao and Mr. K. Ramasubramaniam, they were my max teachers, who were my max gurus, who taught me all the fundamentals on mathematics and gave me a very strong foundation. The second part of it on the sciences, I had Mr. G. Swaminathan and Mr. A. Venkatesh. These two teachers really taught us so much of physics and chemistry to the depth that made me go towards an engineering career. That is my first starting step in my life. And those fundamentals are the one which are really keeping me still go, because the analytical ability, the thinking process, how you have to be organized, all those were taught by these professors, these teachers for me. Over and above this, we did have a lot of good English teachers, Tamil teachers, history, but these are the two that were relevant for me. So I picked them up. And from there, I moved on to Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda College in Malapur. There, the professors, they impressed us. And as part of the peer pressure, I chose to be an engineer. Otherwise, I would have become a mathematician. That's a truth. I wanted to be a mathematician of pure mathematics, but the peer pressure and also the family circumstances and where we live, because my life was a very, very. I come from a very, very down to earth family, and my father is not fully educated. Both my parents. To be very honest, the inspiration that my parents gave me is what made me as an engineer today. My father was a sixth standard dropout. He could not continue his education because of his family situations. My mother was an eighth standard dropout, but they wanted all their four children to be graduates and also engineers. So my father really inspired me to do my higher studies, though he couldn't afford to it on that day, when I was joining my engineering in 1979, he can't afford it. So I wanted to become a mathematician. He said, if you become an engineer, you can earn. That'll make me proud, or that'll support me. So that was the way we started our life. So I chose engineering. And fortunately, after my pre-university, I got my admission in Regional Engineering College, Trichurapalli, which is today the NITT. And that was always a pride for every student and aspiration for all of us. So I joined REC Trichy, and in that, the first 2 years I went through, and there, if you are a mechanical engineer, you're considered one notch above. So I was a successful guy in getting into the top 5 or 10 ranks, and so I joined mechanical engineering. So from the academia, like from the 11th standard onwards, I started getting into so-called myth of being the topper in the class, which is actually need not necessarily be, as long as you understand the subject and you're a master of what you're doing. But however, that was the way the life was. I don't regret it. I did enjoy it. And today I am what I am. Between mathematics and mechanical engineering, I would have chosen definitely mathematics, but engineering was one thing that was a professional study at that time in 80s. So I chose to this. The second part of it, I could have chosen any of the other engineering faculties, but the other faculties of electronics, electrical, civil, metallurgy, that didn't attract me because by nature, I am a kind of a self-made guy and I work on my own with spanners and hammers and all those. So I like the mechanical engineering stream, and so I chose it. So it is my option of choosing between the mathematics and mechanical engineering. And mechanical engineering has got more of mathematical application. Plus, I also have my own inherent or intuitive intelligence in me, which made me as a mechanical engineer. That's what it is.
Excellent, sir. Thank you so much for explaining all of that with lots of clarity. That's really very nice. Now, sir, at the initial stages, you've mentioned that you had a great bonding with your teachers and sirs, like who connected with you with regard to mathematics, the way they taught you. What do you think that a teacher needs to have in order to connect and bond with the students in the right way? You have received the right kind of attention from your teachers, and that's what has pushed you up to this level at the initial stages. In today's world, or just like with regard to teaching profession, what is your thought? How should the teachers of today be? Like, it's like very commercialized nowadays. What I find myself, collaborating and connecting with people, it's more on a commercial scale than understanding the child's preference, or coming down to the level of the child, teaching the child, and improving the spirits of the child, making the child feel good in the presence of a teacher. What do you have to say with regard to this?
Definitely. See, there are two professions in this world which are noble. The first profession is teaching. The second profession is doctor. They are two different streams. Where what I want to say is, teachers make people, doctors keep people healthier. And these two are done as an human service in the erstwhile period. But over a period of the last, at least the 2 decades, both the professions have become more business oriented rather than profession oriented. That is one of the significant changes which has happened, which I've been observing in my life. Because when I had my teacher, when I talked to you about so passionately about Mr. Seshagiri Rao or Mr. Ram Subramaniam, they really had so much of affection and personal touch with us. They will say, they know that it is very difficult to bring me up, but they will make me practice in person, like in the class. The class used to be only for 1 hour, but during that 1 hour, the individual teachers will pay attention to all the 50 students. And over and above that, they give us assignments. They give us the test. If we don't do well in the test or in the assignment, all those were discussed openly in front of my friends. There was no hide and seek here. They will call us, they will tell us right in front of everybody. And they will also tell us, you're not inferior to anybody. Only thing, the difference between you and the first ranker is he's spending only 10 to 15% extra time studying every day than you. That was one of the advices given by my teachers. You put in that 1 hour extra effort, try to control yourself and work on it, you can definitely do it. The second one, they always tell us that the reason why I was talking about initially the passion and what you want to do. This was exactly what my teachers used to tell us. They will say, not everybody will be good in mathematics. Some people will be really good in history, geography, or remembering some of those. And there will be some people who will be good at applying mathematics, but not understanding the fundamentals of mathematics. So that was the way the teaching profession was. The teachers used to pay individual attention, and also they they were paid enough by the government to sustain their life. Today, we are all chasing so many things in life, especially the IT invention or the IT revolution has kind of spoiled the education system because everybody has started chasing comforts, car, washing machine, fridge, etc. Thereby, your core values of teaching as a noble profession and trying to guide the student and take them along. My teacher was, for me, my teachers were more than my parents. My teachers can beat me up. My father or mother will not say anything. If I come back in the evening and if my teacher has beaten me up and if my father sees me dull, he'll come at only 9 o'clock in the night. So if he sees me dull, he'll ask me, what happened in the school? The moment I say this is what mistake I did, and my teacher bet me up, for his share, he will also give me more. So that is the way it was, you know. The teachers were given the freedom because the parents thought the teachers are equally they as good as they are for me. And that's how we were brought up. That is the second one. The third one, if you really look at it, and we are like, a lot of these teachers today are not teachers by choice. Like how I became an engineer, though my choice and my mind was in mathematics. A lot of teachers today are teachers by accident or teachers by the compulsive social needs. There is nothing wrong in it, but those teachers have to be given this kind of old time stories. If you really look at it, Dronacharya didn't want to teach, right? Ekalivan. But still, Ekalivan learnt it from Dronacharya when he was teaching Pandavas and Kauravas. He became a much better shooter than Arjuna or any of the Pandavas or Kauravas. So for that, Dronacharya took his thumb, right hand thumb, as a
Guru
fees,
Dakshana.
Guru Dakshana. So today, more is going towards that, but actually, the teachers, if you have, there are a lot of good teachers. Don't take me wrong on that. There are a lot of good, committed teachers. If they also share their experiences with the coming teachers, and also I would urge all the schools to reconsider the teachers who have retired or who are at maybe in their early 50s to form some kind of a teachers association where they do this as kind of as social service or maybe at a fees, because if you give something free it doesn't have its value. So if those teachers form, like there are good professors in colleges who have retired, the 60s, the previous generation, if they teach their experiences and make more teachers, which will be a geometric progression, and thereby it will definitely have a good education system coming up in our country. Not the kind of Akash or JEE Foundation, those not those kind of schools. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the average and low level schools teachers who are coming with a passion for teaching, we have to form a teachers association, retired teachers association. They give them that insight. Thereby, the teaching system could improve leaps and bounds. This is my view.
Excellent. So hats off to that beautiful suggestion that you've given, like, form an association of all the, the experienced teachers and sirs, the faculty members, and, contribute again to the society in the right way, empower the younger generation with all the experience and expertise that they have gained through all these years. That's excellent. Now, sir, I'd like to know about your first profession. I mean, let me put that right. The first job that you entered into, which was the first job that you took up once you completed your engineering course?
Excellent. After my engineering, I completed my engineering in 84. And my last exam was on, I think, April 27th or 28th. And I joined the company. I took my first job, I think, on the June 4th. I was just packing all my stuff from REC Trichy and coming back and settling down here. And that was Bini Engineering Works Meenambakam, wherein I was working primarily on the core equipments for cement mill, sugar mill, and also some of the pressure vessels and project-oriented organization. And that was a great place for me because that particular company had all the engineering, mechanical engineering, manufacturing technology under one roof. They had a light machine shop, heavy machine shop, light welding, heavy welding, TIG welding. We had a foundry, cast iron foundry. We had a forge and smithy shop. Then we had an assembly shop, and we had project sites assembly. We had the sheet metal component manufacturing, and we also had the rice mill, a product manufacturing company. So that gave me a lot of exposure into engineering in the first 1.5 years. And there I had a very good, I wouldn't call him as a boss. He was more of a mentor for us. His name was Steve Mohanakrishnan. He used to teach us from the fundamentals of engineering. And I tell you, after passing out, that's where I was saying, I'm an engineer. Why should I do a mean job? And when I joined that company, my first job was to make a tracing out of a drawing that already existed. And he gave that exercise to me as an R&D engineer. When I did that, I completed it probably in 3-4 days. It was a big drawing. And I gave it back to him. And he said, I'm not going to check this drawing, but I'm going to ask you certain fundamental questions. So he asked me about some of the material, what is given there, what are the characteristics of that, and how is it going to be machined, how will it be held on a machine. So he asked me a lot of those questions. Is it a casting? And how do they pour this casting, bigger casting? What is the weight of this material? How will you find it? I said, man, all these, I did the drawing. He asked me to trace the drawing. I did the tracing of the drawing, right? He didn't ask me to study all this. That's how we always take it. But he said, this is the difference between becoming an engineer vis-a-vis doing the work that is given to you. So that is one of the fundamentals that I really liked from him. And he was a mentor and coach for me until 2-3 years before. And afterwards, I lost connection with him. So he was a brilliant engineer by himself. He was a chemical engineer. He was handling all these. So that's how I started my career. I learned a lot in that 1.5 years. Unfortunately for me, that company was closing down because of the labor unrest, and also the group was not doing well, which was part of the BNC mills and all those. So I have to move. I moved to the next company, Hindustan Motors Earth Moving Equipment.
Yes, thank you, sir, for sharing all of that. Very interesting. Thank you, especially tracing that work that was given to you and then questions being asked and all of that. That's really very interesting. Now, sir, I'd like to go on with the next question. I'd like you to share about your expertise with regard to English language. You're an eloquent speaker. You speak so well. You're very precise when you speak, every word and the sentences that you formulate. Now, how did you develop the skill of speaking so well in English?
That's an excellent question. um, I'll tell you, in our school, when we were all studying, we don't have to speak in English. Nothing was forced, but it is up to us to learn it on our own. Though our teachers, like I had one teacher by name A.V. Subramaniam, he was a great guy. If he speaks in the class for 1 hour, we have to have a dictionary to understand or get at least 3 words. We won't understand the meaning and his sentence formation also. He was such an eloquent guy on his English. So after passing out from the PSI School North, when I joined Vivekananda College in my pre-university, it was a transition from school to a college, right? The first 1 week to 10 days, we also had people from schools like Vidya Mandir, PSBB, Don Bosco, St. Beats. All of them have a very good English knowledge. And the professors who take class, in the morning we have the Sanskrit class, and in the evening we'll be having the last classes, chemistry or physics. Every professor will speak only in English. And the first 2 weeks, uh, I thought, man, what did I do? Have I made a mistake? Then I went back to the teacher that I told you, A.V. Subramaniam. Sir, I said, sir, this is what is the problem. What should I do? He said, don't worry. Practice makes a man perfect. This is the first word that he said. And he said, you speak English to yourself and try to find out how you take one simple thing in life every day and write 1 or 2 sentences or max 3 sentences about it. And also speak the same thing on different occasions. So thereby what happened was my natural liking for the language increased. And also it was a compulsive environment in which we were in, right? So I have to necessarily learn it. So that was the second one. If you're put on anything for that matter, if you're in a compulsory mode, you will definitely learn that language or the practice very easily and very quickly. It's not that difficult. But of course, you should have the commitment. So that was the second one that he taught me. The third one that he taught me was initially we have to make some presentations in the class. He will say, don't worry about others. You just write it up, mug it, or memorize it, and then go there and deliver it in such a way that it doesn't look to be a memorized one. So thereby, we started practicing. I started practicing. More than 3 months, I was able to come out of my inhibition in English. And also, he said, never ever think you're inferior or you will make mistake. Everybody makes mistake. And if they laugh at you, in fact, I did not have the difference whenever we talk about ourselves, right? Do and does many a times. That was the way I was. And some of the fundamental present continuous tense and past continuous tense, if you really look at it, they're very tricky because in my native language of Tamil, we are so used to it. So there will not be any challenges in doing it. Whereas in English, it's always a big challenge to differentiate, especially if you talk without an understanding of the language. So that's how I picked it. One is by daily practicing on something very small. Don't take big. You don't have to really think very big. Just you have to think about 2 or 3 sentences. You can write it or you can practice it. The second one is continue on that. Of course, you read the newspapers, but not by observing somebody, you cannot improve your English unless you put in your efforts. Third one is any situation, you try to put that in English. Maybe initially you memorize it and repeat it, but after some time, it becomes part of you. It is not difficult at all. Learning a language is as easy as that. You don't you and also the last one, please do not have any inhibitions. Not that you have to be 100% right all the time. No, you don't have to be. So this is what I always tell my people. And also when you talked about English, okay, I'll tell you, I was given the job of establishing a global engineering design center for Caterpillar. At that time, it was a $40 billion company in India. It was a greenfield project in 2001. And everybody thought, okay, this is a multinational company headquartered in USA. How am I going to hire? I have to hire about 700 people. In some cases, I used to conduct interview in Tamil. And I did hire about 15 diploma holders by interviewing them in Tamil. My HR vice president asked me, are you a fool or are you making a mistake? I said, I'm neither. So I feel that he's got a very good engineering knowledge and he's also got that engineering acumen and passion. I can really make him a good engineer. His language, I'm sure he will pick up. He said, how? I said, only two things. Sir, let's look at Japan or Germany or China or France. None of the people there can speak English. Have they failed in their engineering? He said, no. And of course, there are a few engineers in that place who speak English. So only communication channel for us is that, right? Handholding. So I will have these engineers as the engineers or the creators with their language limitation. I will have one guy substitute that English, and that will make them a successful career and also a good one for Caterpillar. He said, I will wait to watch. And after 1 year, out of that, I sent 2 people to Japan. And today they can speak English, Japanese, and Tamil, all the 3 languages. So it is not difficult. It is an environment. And if you are in that mode, you can definitely do it. Language is not a barrier for any growth. This is another faith or belief that I have.
Yes, sir. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us. Thank you so much. And thank you for encouraging those 15 people like who are under you, whom you selected, whom you interviewed in Tamil, and who have, risen to a higher level. That's really nice. Thank you so much. As you said, language is not a barrier. It's your inner talent, your passion, your commitment, and perseverance will make you reach higher. Wonderful, sir. Now, sir, were you a very obedient student, or were you like, did you bunk college and school? Were you naughty or very, very studious? What kind of a student were you in school and college?
In school, I was not at all a studious guy until my ninth or 10th standard. And the other thing I'll tell you, when you have the limitations on your financial freedom or the economic freedom in life, in the sense you do not know whether you will get your next meal at home, or you don't have more than 2 dresses and both the dresses are only your uniform. So what is the question of me concentrating on study or doing something which is creative? In fact, there is one famous saying: "You can't think of Shelley in an empty belly." That is one of the reasons in today's society where the young kids of some of, we call them as different names, Dalits, this, that, etc. I will only consider them as economically backward, who do not have the real thing. So, based on their environment, their behavior is also molded. So, that is why I was not a studious guy until ninth standard. And I was a mischievous boy, no second opinions. And third, I used to play cricket, I used to get hurt, I used to fight with everybody. All those were there when I was a kid. No difference. But when I came to my 10th or the 11th standard, looking at some of my friends and also some of the encouragement given by some of my teachers, I changed into a student. Until ninth, I was not very focused student, but of course, I had the everybody has got the native intelligence. It's not that me. I had the native intelligence, but my interest in mathematics was brought out by Mr. P. N. Seshagiri Rao, and science was brought out by my teacher G. Swaminathan. So they were really giving me those kind of encouragement. So that made me come up to the next level. That is why I said, like, I always owe my growth or what I am to my teachers. Then I became slowly a good student, studious, started working hard. And from 10th, 11th standard onwards, there was no look back. I really always wanted to top. Even in my part-time MBA that I did in Loyola, that I did it between 89 and 91, I was the second ranker in the overall. And I also was the topper in at least 6 or 7 subjects. So that has become kind of a routine for me, after some time. The initial impetus when people are economically deprived or they don't have the economical freedom, they are the ones who are suffering. And if, as a community, if we can really focus on them and give them that tip, that find out, like the teachers association that I was saying, and finding out in some of the government schools where there are people who are not really encouraged to study, give them that kind of a fillip, they will definitely come up. In fact, that is being done by today one of the companies, Zoho, Sridhar Wembu's dream. In fact, I have talked with the Sridhar Wembu once or twice. I was curious, why did he choose Tenkasi and Datu in Tirunelveli, which is a remote place? He said he got that inspiration in 79 or 80, 87 when he read a book about how to start an industry in a remote place and do social work as well. The reason why he chose that place was that whole area had a population of less than about 50,000 people. And out of that, majority of them were doing more of agriculture or very mean job. So he went there, picked students and kids at the age when in their 10th and the 11th standard or even 8th standard dropout. He's not coaching them. He's got a school wherein he's training them. And in fact, one of the things that he really wants to do is rural industrialization, where he's got a dream of all these economically downtrodden uh, parents. He will pick their kids, give them food, give them education, and not education in the sense formal education, degree, certificate, etc. He will train them in the respective software or the mechanical or whatever is a field based on their interest for 3 years, and then he'll be putting them into the field. And this is exactly what some of our politicians in the initial period, like Kamaraj, they were all doing that, the politician. Today, the entire system is really spoiled primarily because of the various reasons, which I don't want to get into. But definitely, it is doable uh, where language is not a barrier. But one thing that I strongly believe, the economically downtrodden people, because I wouldn't have become what I am, but for my teachers identifying me, yes, you have the potential, you can do it, and giving me that positive vibe in me. Likewise, we should have that encouragement done to some of the kids.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for opening our eyes with regard to how children should be, given the importance in their lives, especially from the weaker sector, that is from the economically backward section with regard to the government schools. You mentioned all of that very well. And you've given a lot of examples as well. Now, sir, I have a question in mind. Now, even in the well-to-do schools, or in the normal middle class schools or the upper middle class schools that we have around us, apart from the government schools, the average schools that I would say, or maybe it could be just any school. We'll not put them in different categories. Now, there are students who underperform because of the family environment that they come out from, or they are, exposed to a lot of, you know, um, if I could put that right, a lot of unrest in the family, a lot of misunderstanding in the family, a lot of parental pressure, like each spouse fighting in front of the children, or maybe there is some type of, disturbance in the family that will affect the child who has a test tomorrow, who has to write an exam, who has to study. So that child begins to underperform. So it's sometimes, in my view, it's not only the economic background, it could also be the influence of parents on their children that could affect their studies or the, the family environment. Do you agree on this, or you'd like to share your thoughts on it? You're most welcome.
So the thing is, as I told you earlier, one is schools can provide only the environment and also the encouragement and guidance. But at the end, a child's brought up is definitely depends on the parents and the family. In earlier days, I'll start with a simple example. I still remember, I don't know whether you would have gone for marriages that long. Whenever there was a family marriage, we all will be there for 3 days. My cousin, yeah, second cousin, third cousin, on my mother's side, father's side. There will be a big thing, for us. Whenever there is a marriage, we go on the previous day early in the morning. The first day will be the Bharat, so something similar to Bharat. And the second day will be the morning marriage, evening will be the reception. The third day, we have the send off by everybody. So all of us will be there for 3 days together. The togetherness is missing. When you look at the family or the social togetherness has dropped. And today we talk more about weekend parties, going to restaurants, okay, and also talking to friends. And if you look at the husband and wife, both of them are working in IT companies or they are in professional thing where they don't get a chance to talk to each other. And even when they talk to each other, many a times there are differences of opinion. Differences of opinion must be there. That is what is life all about. But that should not become a fight in life. And that should not be the day-to-day affair in life. Because that is what the kids will see at the house. The second one is, I do not know whether I can say this, but this is what is the reality in life today. Why are there old age homes coming up? The emotion is totally removed because of the economical growth. There is no emotion at all in today's life, you know. If I still vividly remember my parents working so hard for me to bring me up, but I don't have to repay. Because if I want to repay that, whatever they says did on me, even if I take three more births in their own parenthood, I won't be able to do that. That is the way I consider it. So today, the emotions are more towards economical freedom than towards the family. And the third one is people think just because I put my kid in a big school or a so-called renowned school in the society, the school will take care of him and bring him up. Maybe he may be brought up on the studies part of it, academia part of it, but not on the ethos, pathos, or the values, human values. They are not taught. They have to be imbibed and inculcated and inherited from a family. The ethos or the pathos or the human values, in order to respect. How many kids today can respect the old people who are there on the road? See, that is what is education all about. Securing mark, doing an engineering or a medicine or a professional course and doing the higher studies, that is for your survival. So parents have a bigger role than the teachers in bringing the kids up, and definitely, and I believe this very strongly. How good is the family environment? That will reflect on the kids' behavior. Even my parents used to fight. Okay, and initially I didn't understand why they're fighting with each other. But when I started growing and when I became a parent myself, I did understand one thing. They were fighting because they didn't have enough to support us. Their economical condition made them fight within. Otherwise, my parents were good parents. They were fighting because we didn't know at that time, you know. Whereas in today's case, for no reason, husband and wife fight. The best part is in the IT, I do work in IT parks today, nowadays. They all join the company, and in 2 years, they get into love, say 23, 24, get married at 25, and 27, they get divorced. So the economic freedom on one, if the families are good, they will not let them depart. These people also think that they are independent in thinking. Yes, you are given your space, but at the same time, you should also understand the fight or the discussions, the aberrations and debates, deliberations. They are only that they are not on personalities, on ego or individuals. And this is also reflected in many an organization as a professional. I keep telling this to all my team members. Please trust me on one thing. The difference between you and me is I was born about 20 years earlier than you. Otherwise, whatever you know is what I know. And both of us have got the same experience. And you will definitely become a vice president. I became a vice president only at the age of 51 or 52. But I want you guys to become vice president at the age of 45. It has to get reduced, and you guys are capable. That's what I always say. So the societal influence and the family influence, if the family, there is a lot of fight going on within the family, it definitely hurts the kids today. And however much the teachers try, it's difficult to make a change because it is psychologically the kids feel insecure. when they see the fight every day, which is not good for the society. Thank you for asking that question.
Thank you, sir. I should thank you too, because you really very beautifully explained it. You made the concept very clear and very simple. You've given your example as well, and a life example of yours. That's really nice. And you put that very clearly, that we need to focus on our children and, keep up the values of our family, keep up the value of human dignity, and protect our children in the right way, such that the coming generations will be a much happier lot, you know, mentally
Definitely.
stable. Yes, that's really nice. Now, sir, can we go ahead and discuss about now zero carbon technologies? What is this all about? Like, yes, sir, over to you.
Super. I'll not take a long time because already it's closer to 4 o'clock, another 10 minutes away. We all talk about the pollution, right? The air quality index. And everywhere when you talk about it, it is the carbon that is getting out, which is spoiling the atmosphere, wherein there should be a balance of oxygen and also the nitrogen and other elements, specific required elements. Today, what happened is, if you look at Delhi, it is suffocating and people are feeling the pressure. They're getting into a lot of uh, issues or health issues with regard to their respiratory systems. So this is partly due to automobile industry, but more so to do with the carbon that is coming out of industrial outputs like the steel furnace or the power plants where you see a lot of smoke coming out. Automobile is a real culprit, major culprit, and also you have the global warming, right? So the global warming is also happening on one side due to these gases coming out. The other side is your carbon is getting depleted, and we are also depleting the oil and gas to a large extent. Maybe in another 3 to 4 decades, we may not have the oil or petroleum. So there are alternative energy sources which are being thought about, which are without any carbon emissions. Maybe the hydrogen or some other nanomaterial technology or the electrification that we are talking about now. And if you look at the power plants, you have a lot of these emissions coming out. So they are moving more towards the nuclear power plants. Or, so to say, we are going to get into the wind and solar. Those are the two technology which are going to really revolutionize in the next 1 decade. In India, you will be seeing more solar farms and wind farms. In fact, the government of India is exploring a possibility of generating wind power by putting the wind power stations inside the sea. You'll be surprised. We don't want to encroach into the land. At about 20, 30 kilometers from the shore, they'll erect platforms on which they will put the windmill, which will generate much higher energy because of the open space that you have. So that is being talked about, and solar farms are being talked about, and everybody is talking about solar energy in their own homes by roof terrace solar farms. So thereby, the power plant emissions are going to be controlled or reduced. In a similar way, the industry, the steel industry or the aluminum industry, some of those, they are trying to come out with usage of hydrogen more as a burning material, because hydrogen has got a very high calorific value compared to the diesel or petrol. The calorific value of hydrogen is 3 times that of petrol or diesel. So they are going to come out with the hydrogen technology being deployed. And on the automotive side, we are working on electrification, which involves developing the electric technology. Although we are shifting one problem to the other, uh, copper could become a scarce metal very soon, similar to lithium. And the second one is lithium is one of the elements which is rarely available, and 70 to 80% of lithium processing and lithium products are controlled by one country, that is China. So it's going to be a very, very devastating economic threat for the rest of the world, because everybody else is behind China on the lithium ion technology, or lithium metal technology. So my aspiration is to develop the electrical energy cells, if you may say so, with just salt, sand, and a little bit of uh, ash or coal. That is where I'm working on as a research for zero carbon. And these three material are available in plenty across the world. Anybody can start manufacturing it. That's the technology I'm going towards, with sodium, sand, and carbon. So that's the simpler form. The other one is, if this has to be done, it has got so many associated challenges which we have to overcome, doing the engineering testing, forming the electrochemistry, understanding the fundamentals. So today's children are capable of doing it, and they can definitely be put into this zero carbon, because everywhere in Commonwealth nations, I think the last year also, there was a meeting to which both our Prime Minister and External Affairs Minister, they went and represented. We have a big team of bureaucrats and engineers working on the zero carbon commitment by the government of India. By 2030, we want to have zero petroleum driven vehicle. We want to go towards electrification of all the vehicles. And the footprint by 2050, we want to reduce the carbon emission in India to the global standards. So that's the kind of challenge that we have. And the technologies that we are working towards that are alternative energy sources by the solar and the thermal, the wind also on the onshore windmills. Then we are going towards harnessing hydrogen for some of the heavy industries where carbon is used very heavily, coal and carbon and emissions are coming out. And in the automotive, they are going towards electrification more, thereby the carbon emissions. I don't know whether you've been on a vehicle and standing in a signal. Uh, Even if it is a rainy day, you can see the warmth coming out of your exhaust silencer. And for the number of vehicles that we have increased in the country today, with the same area in which we are living, the amount of heat that we are generating has heated the atmosphere up by more than 2 to 3 degrees centigrade. So that way, every year we keep adding this. Over and above this carbon layer, and also all kinds of chemicals that come out of it, which is causing health hazards. So this is what we are working towards. And I am deeply involved in doing the battery development and technology one side, and also the electrification technology on commercial vehicles on the other side. Over and above this, I'm also working on autonomous mobile robots for industry, and some of the other products which are still on the R&D stage, so I can't share it. In fact, I've been working on injecting a very small quantity of hydrogen in a diesel engine, which gives about 20% reduction in diesel. That particular engine consumes close to 60 gallons per hour, which gets reduced. So those are kind of advancements that are going on, and I'm part of the journey. So I'm very happy that I have been blessed or have a chance to work on those zero carbon initiatives.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing all of that. Very, very interesting. And I hope by 2050, the world will be really free of, all the harmful chemicals caused by this emission of, I guess if I could put it right, the chlorofluorocarbon or something, if I don't know.
Yes.
Am I right if I'm putting that
Yes,
right?
you're right.
Yes. So I hope that we have a wonderful, environment in the future years for all of us, for us and our future generations. That's really nice. Now, sir, as I earlier heard you share, I heard this earlier, you were playing cricket and fighting as well and all of that. Now, yesterday, India won the match. How did you feel? Are you also connected to cricket till date? Do you have a
Yes,
passion for cricket?
yes, I do. And it is a proud moment, especially because, in fact, 1983, when I was a kid, like I was in my pre-final engineering, when Kapil Dev won the World Cup for us the first time, we were so jubilant. And I have the same feeling when I was watching the match yesterday. I did sat through the match. Okay. Until though there was, uh, we didn't have the hope after 15 overs or the 16th over. Yes, it is. But the cricket is such a game that you can turn it around anytime. And on that, and one more thing in cricket is on that day, what happens in the field is what is more important. It was just a 3 hours or 4 hours game, and it was so nice. And we were also, I was very thrilled, and I enjoyed the victory. At the same time, I was also watching the women's cricket as well yesterday. And today, I think they've given the follow on to the South African team in Chennai. We scored close to 600 plus, and they were all out for 260 or 270. And South Africa is continuing on their second innings. So it was a great moment. And there again, you look at it, the people in the team, they're all from different parts of the country. And they all join together and form a team. That's what is the teamwork all about. And they're all united with only one fundamental objective: play for the country and do your best. The result is automatic. And how much amount of hard work that they would have put in and day out on practice, nets, all these, and that too in those kind of weird weather situations, and also the temperature differences there between India and there. They have done a wonderful job, and it's a great moment for India. And I'm one of the proud Indians who enjoyed it and celebrating it.
Yes, sir. That's really nice. Thank you for sharing. And congratulations, Team India, and as well as to South Africa as well. They also tried their best till the
Yes.
end, but then India had one privilege, much better than them. I guess maybe the prayer of all the Indians that yes, India should win this World Cup because already they missed I guess the 50 overs World Cup. They missed that. So we're very happy for that. That's really nice, sir. So now I'd like to just ask you one more question before we sum up the session for today. I'd like to ask you this question with regard to mental health. When we look around, there is so much of pain and suffering, so much of emotional trauma going on. Like every second person you meet, they have something or the other that they are going through. Some of them reveal it, some of them don't, some of them go down into depression, some of them commit suicide, some of them go to unknown places just to avoid the stress that they are facing in that given place or in the environment that they are. So according to you, what is mental health? What do you think I mean, let me just know that what are your thoughts with regard to mental health? How do you feel? You'd like to explain that? Over to you, sir.
See, mental health as you grow, especially when you are crossing your 40s and getting into 50s, people start chasing positions and also accolades. I want to be the senior person. I want to be this. I want to be that. Even if they're working in government offices, they always feel, I won't say jealous. They didn't get that opportunity. Somebody else gets that opportunity. You feel bad. You don't have to. He goes, I also grow. This is what I am. This is what he is or she is. This is one thing. The second one is, again, I go back to the same stuff of living together and also the friends and all your family relationship. How good is that will tell you about your mental health. For example, for me, I tell you from my own life, my sister lives about 2 kilometers from my home. My elder brother lives at about 4, 5 kilometers from my home. Okay, within 7 kilometers, we with all the three of us are there together. And my mother is very comfortable. When she wants, she can always demand they have to come or she can go. But she never goes out of my home. They only come and meet her. The second part of it, if you look at it, I have good friends. The school time friends, we are about 30 of us or 25 of us. We've got reunited and we keep meeting at least once a quarter and share different things. You talk about politics, you talk about film industry, you talk about anything that you want, or what is happening in your neighborhood during these rainy days, what happened. So we keep chit-chatting on all those. So that keeps us a little different. I also have one more friends group, which again culminated from my college days, 10 of us. The entire family is known to each other, and WhatsApp group is, helps you in doing that. This is another. The last thing that is missing today is the belief on spiritual and religious activities. It is hypocritically atheist, agnostic, which really doesn't take people anywhere. Your worship place can be anything. It can be a church, it can be a gurudwara, it can be a mosque, it can be anything that you want. But you keep doing that. And that is why the all these places, you look at churches or mosques or gurudwara, everywhere, you have a lot of social activities and also open space and some amount of culture or the religious thought processes said. So we miss out on that. What we do is we worry more about ourselves. I could have done that. I could have done this. Water under the bridge. If something is gone by yesterday, it is history. You cannot do anything about it. And you're living for today. And you have to look at the future for tomorrow. You want to do something, do it. Otherwise, stay put, make your mental thing, and stop watching the useless programs on the television. That will make you more mature. Now that disease is spreading on the mobile phones, on WhatsApp and other messages. Be choosy about which group you want to be in, where you feel comfortable about. And also read the messages which are relevant for you. Otherwise, don't use them or don't even look at them. So this is what I feel to keep yourself mentally occupied. Other one is you should never stop doing what you like. Just because you have retired, you don't have to stop your work. Those retired people, if they start wanting to contribute something towards the society. See, in the last 4 years after my retirement from Ashok Leyland, I have trained 100 engineers on various aspects of automobile engineering and automation, robotics, and the engineering fundamentals and design for product. That gives me the satisfaction. More than the money, it is that bit of my mental health. And at that time, I'm also learning from them. The kids are teaching me a lot every day. So that's how we have to keep ourselves occupied. Best thing is, don't brood over the past. Don't get into the depressive mode. Always think about positive things and get yourself engaged in a meaningful way, whether it be religious, spiritual, or your area of interest. That's my kind of thought.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Thank you for enlightening us with your wisdom. We look forward to the next session with you, answers that you could from all the experience and the knowledge that you've gained. I'm sure, sir.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it anytime. Don't hesitate. Feel free to call me. I'll be there. And looking forward to more interactions.
Yes, sir.
And I wish the entire team which is watching this program good luck, and also always pursue your passion and do your hard work and convert the opportunities into a fortune. And everybody will be successful and nobody is inferior to anybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. My dear friends, with this, we'd like to come to an end to part one. We request sir for sharing his time with us, even in part two as well. So stay tuned with us. If you like what we are doing on the International Fab Talk, stay connected with us, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to love yourself, love your family, and give importance to education and give importance to the environment as well. With this, we'd like to sign off from the International Fab Talks for now. Stay connected with us for part two as well.